All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mockingbird Talk Show with Simon. Today, we're going to look into the racism in America. Since it is a huge timeline to cover, we're going to split the history of racism in the U.S. into three periods: time before Civil War, time after Civil War, and time after Martin Luther King. Today, it is our honor to welcome Toby, a professional historian who have been looking into the slavery and black treatment in the U.S. So nice to see you, Mr. Toby.
Well, thank you, Simon. It is my honor to be here. Slavery and racism has really been a huge problem throughout history in America. Even nowadays, problem of racism against people with different race still exist. I believe it is good for us to discuss about it more so that people will be able to be more informed about the situation.
Yes, exactly. So, Professor Toby, why don't we start this problem from the beginning? So, can you tell us why and how were slavery first brought into America and where it is supposed to be in a country of freedom?
Well, according to history.com, during the early 17th century, when English colonists first arrived in North America, they were using indentured servants, or mostly poor Europeans. However, soon after they settled down, they turned towards a cheaper labor source: slavery. Slavery spread quickly throughout America colonists, with an estimated number of 6 to 7 million enslaved people imported to US during 18th century alone.
What does the introduction of slavery have to do with racism, though?
Well, according to a theory of neo-cognitive, the existence of slavery is based a lot on racism against Black people or African Americans.
Oh, wait, I thought it's the other way around. I thought racism is actually caused by slavery. What do you think?
Um, that is a great theory, but I believe it is more reasonable for slavery to be based and built upon racism. Since Americans want freedom from the king, they shouldn't have took freedom from other people like them. You know how before people choose to perform an action, they would usually like to justify their own action before they decide to do it in order to make themselves feel better.
All right. Yes. That kind of I think that applies to everyone, including me. I sometimes always persuade myself that doing something is actually okay, even though I know doing that thing is actually wrong.
That's right. Slave owners use the Bible to argue that owning slaves are right and slaves should obey their master. And that's only one of the case. Therefore, a reasonable cost is needed for these Americans to be willing to enslave other human beings and treat them like animals and as a labor force. For that reason, in this case, racism. When the people living in America compare black people to them, they believe that black are less than a human compared to themselves.
Ah, I get it. So, so you're basically saying that at that time, the white people did not think black people are equal to white people. Instead, they believe that black people are somewhat less than a white person, somewhat inferior to white people. So that's why it is completely reasonable for white people to buy slaves and treat them whatever they like because they're just like properties, but not a human being to them.
That's right. During one of the act, it'll when they counted the people head, they also counted slaves as 2/3 of the human being. I mean, so that's from that point we can see that they're not treating black people the same way as a white. And for this cause, racism against black people serve in order for slavery to exist. Horrible treatment for black people exists in that period of time based on racism. Autobibliography of Frederick Douglass explained how slaves were treated back then. They were beaten, given little food that they can barely feed themselves, forced to be segregated with white and separated from their own family. And these are all the result of racism.
Yeah, the treatment for black people was very, very poor back then. However, I think as the Civil War began, the situation for black and racism was gonna get better and get fixed, right? So white people was started to realize that they're wrong and stopped discriminating those black people, right? Because they're now officially, by the law, a human being, a natural citizen of the U.S. in the U.S., right?
Well, the reason that caused civil war was to oppose slavery. But the main reason that civil war started was only to oppose slavery instead of racism. Where because the because of the US or America was separated into two groups, South and North, where one side wants slavery and the other side don't. This country was separated into two groups instead of a united one. That's why President Lincoln wanted to abolish slavery in order to um, make United States great again. The problem of racism against black people, however, was not exactly solved by civil war because the racism or the root of slavery still exists.
That sounds interesting. But really, unfortunately, that our time for today is almost up already. So if you want to learn more about racism in America, in history, come back to our channel tomorrow, and we will see you next time at the same time today. Um, thank you so much.